Get woke, go broke. Such a funny concept. For those that aren't familiar, it basically means companies try to embrace woke ideology, left-wing identitarianism, in an effort to make money and capitalize off of social justice. And when it doesn't work, people will say, get woke, go broke. There are many, many examples of companies trying to embrace wokeness and then losing money. Because in many instances, in many of these circumstances, there are certain products that it doesn't make sense to be woke for. Notably, Gillette, shaving products for men. Now you may remember they made a commercial where it was about toxic masculinity, and they were talking about how men can be better, and it was a meme factory. Just so much came out of this terrible ad. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people are saying this is another get woke, go broke. Stop. I assure you it is actually, well, I don't want to say it's completely not true. For the most part, it is not a get woke, go broke. It's not. Let me show you a couple examples first, and let me explain. Now, hear me out. I saw this article being shared on Twitter. I'm not sure what the People's Ledger is, but they said most expensive ad campaign ever. Procter & Gamble writes off $8 billion from Gillette business. I saw this post from Ben Garrison where he said, Gillette parent company Procter & Gamble writes down $8 billion, get woke, go broke. You can see the Gillette razor blade here saying, you toxic male. Here's the thing though. What this story actually is, it's going broke, try to get woke to stay afloat. What that means, Gillette was failing. They're facing massive competition and people are shaving less. They're like, look, hipsters have mustaches and beards, and they recognize this. So what this actually was, in my opinion, was, it's fair to say, it was potentially a very expensive ad campaign, and the toxic masculinity ad that Gillette did was a complete failure. Keep in mind, they tried doing some like military family ad afterwards, but in the end, it didn't work. And they've written off $8 billion, massive loss for Gillette. But I want to stress, a lot of people are acting like it's because they got woke, when in reality, this precipitated the wokeness. So keep that in mind when you think about other stories and other brands. Are they getting woke because you're trying to capitalize, or is it because they already are going broke and it's an act of desperation? And that's an important consideration because many of these get woke, go broke stories, look, when they make a product that's like a woke video game or movie and then no one wants to buy it, that I get. But when a company changes to wokeness, it may be because of desperation. Now, before we read this, and I've got some really great examples of how companies embrace wokeness to save products, and you're gonna love this, trust me. I have a good example, and you're going to laugh when you see it. But I can't explain it until I actually get to it. But I have to do something first. I have a huge announcement. Subverse has officially launched a revolutionary crowdfunding crowdfunding over at wefunder.com/Subverse. So if you want to be a part owner of Subverse, which is the new media brand that I'm launching that's being run independently of this content, you can go to wefunder.com/Subverse and invest. And I'm just going to say this because I'm not going to make it super long. We've already raised around $550,000 of a $1,070,000 goal. Listen, news companies are expensive. These other players like Vox, BuzzFeed, etc., they have hundreds of millions of dollars. They have NBC backing them. We don't. We have the community. Here's the big thing before I go back to the get woke, go broke story. If we can raise, we've already raised around half of our goal. And it's been 12 hours, about 13 hours, okay? We have another 35 hours to finish this fundraiser, and we will break a world record. That's my understanding, okay? I could be wrong. It would be the fastest in crowd investment ever. Crowd investing is rather new, so we're on track for a world record or something. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, but that's what they're telling me. Like, guys, if you can finish this within 2 days of launch, you will shatter records. And I would really love for you guys to get involved, invest in Subverse, be a co-owner in a crowd community-owned news organization. And I want to send a message to these big media companies. We broke a record. We broke a record for a reason, because people are tired of being told what to think instead of being told, here's the facts. With Subverse, it's not going to be like this. Subverse is going to be straight up, here's what happened. You think about it, you figure it out. That's what we want to do. wefunder.com/Subverse. Link will be in the description below. Let's get back to the news. So I'm not gonna stress too much on the Procter & Gamble thing because I want to show you some really funny examples of how getting woke actually helps business. Reuters reports P&G reported a net loss of $5.24 billion or $2.12 per share for the quarter ended June 30th, due to an $8 billion non-cash write-down for Gillette. For the same period last year, P&G's net income was $1.89 billion, or 72 cents per share. So that's the big main point. I want to stress something very important here. When a big business writes down something, I could be wrong. My understanding is that's them saying we've lost this valuation. It's less to do with actually losing money and more about, hey, how much money can we save in taxes by saying we're taking a loss per share on this particular brand or for this reason. But let's read. They say, P&G, which operates in 80 countries, sells Gillette razors, gels, and foams worldwide, and said the write-down was due primarily to currency fluctuations, and enduring strength in the U.S. economy in recent years has strengthened the dollar. The charge was also driven by more competition over the past 3 years and a shrinking market for blades and razors as consumers in developed markets shave less frequently. Net sales in the grooming business, which includes Gillette, have declined in 11 out of the last 12 quarters. 11 out of the last 12 quarters is the nail. That's the evidence. That's the proof. Okay, the Gillette Get What Go Broke ad was only a couple quarters ago. It was like what, 2? It was the beginning. It was the first quarter of this year. Gillette's been failing for 11 out of 12 quarters. I wonder what that one quarter was where they actually did well. What this says to me is that Gillette's been failing for a long time, and in their sheer desperation, they made 2 ads: toxic masculinity, blonde-haired, blue-eyed military family. That was weird. That was a really weird thing they did. I gotta admit, for those that don't know, they did their toxic masculinity thing, and then it was like a month later, they had this like blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy and like a white family. And I'm not trying to, like, there's nothing wrong with that. The point I'm making is they very clearly are paying attention to the culture war when they made their ads. It was like, I kind of felt like the white military guy with blonde hair and blue eyes was I found it weird. Not because there's anything wrong with being like blonde hair, blue eyed, or white in the United States. It was immediately following the toxic masculinity thing. And I'm like, do they understand that it's like a weird contrast to do that at the exact same time, to show like something the alt-right would appreciate? Again, I'm not trying to be over the top and claim it was alt-right. I'm just saying they were very clearly playing to the culture or trying to, and it was weird. Maybe Gillette didn't know which route to take, and they were desperate, and they went to the extremes. But, I will say this: toxic masculinity was really, really stupid, and just because one family happened to have been white isn't really a message at all. But it was a military family thing, so it did feel like they were targeting like a conservative kind of family. But let me show you something really, really fun and funny. Let me ask you a question. Fat shaming. There's been a big part of wokeness, right? Fat phobia, fat shaming, body positivity. I wonder why. Can you think about why that might be? Well, I'll tell you one thing. People in the United States are fat. They are. Americans are overweight. They eat too much. And I think this has a lot to do with portions. Seriously, man. I've been to Europe. You order a meal in Europe and it's really small. You order a meal in the US and it's like massive. I went to a diner once and they gave me like a bucket of French fries. Okay, I'm being hyperbolic. But no, it's like American portions are massive, so Americans get fat. Americans also love eating ice cream. They love eating their Ben & Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's is a really great brand, delicious flavors of ice cream. So here's what I want to show you. Here's an old article from 2014. Dove Real Beauty campaign turns 10. How a brand tried to change the conversation about female beauty. And here we can see there are many women of various body types, and they say, real beauty. Real beauty, yes. That was the big campaign. You may be asking yourself, Tim, I'm not quite sure why you just brought up Ben & Jerry's. That's ice cream. It has nothing to do with real beauty. Perhaps I'm making a point about how people love eating ice cream and then they get fat. So Dove then launches the Real Beauty campaign, embracing the wokeness of, body positivity, because they know Americans are overweight. Get it? As Americans get fatter, the marketing targets the Americans. But here, it's one better. Because then you may ask yourself, what about toxic masculinity? Guys don't embrace that. That was bad. People were offended by that. It was controversial. You're right. But let me make one important point. There's a reason I pulled up the Ben & Jerry's Wikipedia page, and I guess you actually can't see it yet. But you may notice over here where it says parent. What does that say? Unilever. That's right. Unilever owns Ben & Jerry's. Let me now bring up Dove Toiletries. Oh, you may have noticed already who their owner is. Also, Unilever. Now, I'm not saying there's a direct correlation, but I do find it quite entertaining that the same company that owns an ice cream brand is encouraging women to embrace their fat bodies. Real beauty. And this is the point. The reason I bring this up. Sometimes getting woke is about averting going broke. And in this circumstance, I'd have to bet it actually kind of helped. Look, people really embrace fitness, okay? It's a huge industry. People want to lose weight. If you own ice cream, like if you own an ice cream company and you're seeing sales slump, I'm not saying they did, I'm just saying that think about it. People don't want to eat ice cream because it makes you fat. Then what can you do? Now you've got all these fat women who need soap and you're like, oh no, I got it. Real beauty. It helps our ice cream brand if women are fat and happy, and they'll eat more ice cream, right? We then start seeing morbidly obese women in advertisements as models because companies pay for it. Seriously, when you see, like, what do models do? Models sell products. So when you see a big, fat, morbidly obese model who's probably got some heart problems, I'm not trying to be a dick, I'm being actually, like, this is a serious health concern. Obesity is one of the leading causes of cancer. Well, it's because a company paid for the shoot, hired the model, and why would they do it? Because Americans are fat. And if you own a company that sells soap and ice cream, how do you continue to, what Ben & Jerry's couldn't do a body positivity commercial because people would laugh at it. But Dove can. Dove can dump a ton of money into telling women it's okay that you're fat. It's fine. They can hire fat models. They can promote the culture, spread the ideology, which is it's a bit part of wokeness, and their ice cream sales do well. The parent company has interest in making sure people are fat and happy and don't care that they're fat, most importantly. So anyway, the main point of this, to go back to the original story, is while Gillette has lost a lot of money for Procter & Gamble, I believe what we're really seeing is they've been losing money for a long time. Their sales are slumping due to Dollar Shave Club and Harry's or whatever it's called, and these other companies. And so they decided to try wokeness. Didn't work, did it? So the marketing campaign seems to have been a massive failure. That's the takeaway. Did they get broke because of it? No, something precipitated the wokeness. Desperation. Stick around. The next segment will be coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you all then.